Hello again, everybody. It's time for the podcast with Zim and the Husky Fella. I'm Mike Zimmer. I'm your host, along with my compadre, Brian Barrett.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. A
Yes,
really big show.
we had no video last week because
Well, we had video.
we had video.
You would have just watched us. We would have watched our mouths moving and nothing come out.
I wanted to put old timey music like a silent movie, and have us do that, kind of like what they do with the WNBA. With it's much better if you have the Benny Hill music on. But yeah, we there's a little green button. That
Yeah.
I didn't hit last time. We're doing the duel. We have the old fashioned podcast for those that like to listen at work and all that good stuff. And then this will be the YouTube channel for Zimco Sports and Zimco Entertainment. But Brian, we are kind of back in the swing of things. We're
Mhm.
starting to ramp up to the season. We're going to have basically this is it before we start the season. I'm away next week unless we want to try to jam it in that next Thursday. We might have to.
Maybe we'll see. Not making any promises.
Well, all right. So we've got a lot to talk about, and we kind of, you kind of map out the script, and we kind of monkey about with it. And then what happens is the last minute I add a bunch of stuff, and then you ask me a bunch of questions like, "Hey, did you see this great article?" No, Brian, put it in the script.
Well,
But
there's a couple interesting factoids. I was particularly lazy today, so I didn't feel like copying and pasting and doing all that jazz. I just
gotcha.
said, screw it.
Well,
We'll ad lib as we go.
we've got Major League Baseball, we've got NFL, we've got college football. Got a lot of college football, I think, to talk about at the end. We'll breeze through the rest. Brian, what we're not going to talk about, but kind of are, is the WNBA. I've seen all the shows. ESPN's got a slow summer this year. Um, it's hilarious about how poorly that league is run and the crap that's now going on. There's a couple of dudes, former NBA players, that are like, "Hey, I got my wig. I am eligible for next season." And the morons that run that league actually had to have a conference to come out with an idea of what a woman is. They don't know.
Yeah, because the league rules just say to be eligible, you have to be a woman.
And the
That's
name
it.
of the league is the WNBA. Well, they were like, "Well, hey, how can you keep me out? I'm a trans woman." And I think it's hilarious. I'm sorry. And they have this meeting. They didn't come to a conclusion on what a woman is, by the way.
Yeah,
And they're still, if they keep these guys out, I mean, these guys could realistically sue the league into Bolivian,
yeah. As Mike Tyson would say.
right? I mean, do you have any thoughts on this? I mean, at all?
No, I mean the league itself is just so poorly run, and we've talked about this before. Caitlin Clark is your golden goose, and they are insistent on getting her murdered, suspending her for no reason. I mean, like she gets abused every game, and then like last week she had a game where she went to do a layup or something and kind of bumped the ref as she's turning to run back up the court, and they ejected her for
Yeah.
contact with the official. I'm like, she bumped into her as she's trying to run up the court. She didn't run into her on purpose. She didn't throw a forearm at her.
Yeah.
She kind of bumped against her like as she's following through on her layup motion because obviously they can't dunk. So she's following through her layup motion. She bumps the referee ejects her for contact. It's just
Miss Me
so
Bounce,
stupid.
Miss Me Bounce showed you couldn't dunk. She missed the layup. The game would have
Yeah,
been a game tiger, game winning layup the other day. And there's a new meme of Caitlin Collins smiling in the background while what's her face with her eyes going in either direction. I don't know. I just think that if the only talking points you have about your league is about you're really kind of racist. You're trying to kill your best player. You're trying to shut people up that are basically have an opinion on women. And oh, by the way, now you're trying to keep a couple of trans women out of your league. You're not a serious league. I
no.
mean, at all.
Well, we've known that for a long time.
I just the other thing that I don't want to talk about is the Little League World Series. And I sent you a couple of videos last week, or at least I think I did. I'm trying to think
I
about it.
don't think you did.
Well, all right.
I missed out. I understand
So
these.
did we not? I thought we talked about it. Maybe I talked to somebody else. Is it the Little League World Series had some kind of scandal? I don't care what it is.
Mm,
We're not going to talk about it. I don't even want to
yeah,
go down that road
yeah.
because it's a bunch of pompous ass adults that are we're using an illegible player. Well, Brian, I have this problem with these videos and all these people that make videos. We're not going to shout at you, but they all talk like this. And it's, oh my God, there's a controversy in Little League Baseball. And did you see that team from Oklahoma got kicked out? And they're doing it. I'm like, an adult sat down and did that.
Yeah. Yeah, I said like I told you, they went to the Desmond Howard School of Broadcasting. We're just yell in the microphone as loud as you can.
See, we did talk about
Yeah, we
it.
did talk
We
about it.
did. Well,
Yeah.
anyway, all right. Let's start with baseball. And Brian, we had a fun time this past weekend. It is my birthday month, after all.
Yes, we had a fun time. Some of us had maybe a little too much fun. Not gonna name any names.
Nah. I mean, I might have died a little bit Sunday morning, but that's nor here nor there. I think we had actually really good
We
time.
did.
That's the first time we've all been up in St. Pete in Mass in since 2 years ago, because
Mhm.
the Dome, we weren't there last year. St. Pete is such a fun town to go around and brewery hop, bar hop, and then there's things to do after the game. We were in one of our places, and we're like, there's a Rays game. They didn't have it on the night before. They didn't
Yeah.
have it on, and it's like they don't care about that team there. So please move them to Tampa fast. But last Saturday they had 28,055 in the Dome.
They had the third deck open
Yeah,
with people up there. Like it wasn't completely full, but third deck had people up there. Like
yeah.
probably a third full, I would say.
There was a good number of O's fans, which
Mhm.
surprised some people that when the anthem goes off, you always forget, and then all of a sudden they go, "Oh,
Yeah, I didn't forget I did it.
did you really?"
Yeah, I'm an honorary O's fan when it comes to that.
The Rays came in winners of 9 straight on the road. First team from the East to go on a 3-city road trip to the West Coast and go undefeated since the Red Sox did it in 1977, Brian. They turn around and got swept by the then last place Baltimore Orioles, who, with those 3 wins, have moved into, I think, 4th place now.
Yeah, that's there's a theme coming with this, with the
Right.
teams that were hot and now aren't.
Well, the Rays didn't lose any ground. Sox
Yeah,
had gone 30-5 at one point before they lost 2 of 3 to the lowly A's at home, 3 of 4 to the lowly Blue Jays on the road, and then they lost 2 of 3 against the Buccos in Pittsburgh. Pirates had really been struggling. The Yankees had been an ordinary about 500 club over the last month or so. So the Rays still have the best record in baseball, still have a 5.5, 6.5 game lead.
yeah, and one of the sites I can't remember which one it is. One of that does this sort of Fangraphs. Fangraphs does them with a 100% chance of making the playoffs. So they are virtually a lock.
I hate those. I hate those whole, it's the same thing with, we're going to talk a lot of college football, and it was like, this team has an X amount of chance. You don't know anything. Stop with and I know there's prediction markets and all that, and Kalshi and all the other stuff.
Prediction mark shits.
Yes, yes. I don't know. I just, all I know is that the Rays are pretty damn good. The Red
Mhm.
Sox are good enough to make the playoffs. The Yankees should make the playoffs, but there might only be one.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be that way because the West is a mess. The Central. Let's talk about that. Who actually wants to win the AL
Well,
Central?
you want to talk about? I mean, these divisions only get one team in because there's no way a second team getting in from the Central that's going to be below 500.
Right.
Spot.
White Sox in sole possession of first place at 65-58. Yes, those White Sox who lost 325 games over the last 3 seasons, 100 lost seasons each of them. They somehow have a 5.5 game lead over your resurgent Tigers, who are 60-64.
Yeah, and they went out, lost 2 of 3 to Cleveland, got swept by the White Sox. So not their finest moment. They were talking about it on a broadcast. I think it was Saturday. They're like, look, if you're going to make up ground, this is your chance to do it, because not only now coming up this week they have. I think they have the Pirates. I think they have the Pirates and somebody, maybe the Royals.
And you get the
But
Rays
then they
next week.
do Rays, Dodgers after that. So good luck getting any ground made up there. So you better make some hay this week after you blew it last week.
White Sox are doing it with 3 guys on offense. Murakami, Colson Montgomery, and Miguel Vargas have a combined 82 home runs. They got a bunch of bit players, role players. I mean, Andrew Benintendi's having a pretty good season for them. Their pitching, though, they've used something like, I want to say 16 different guys have started games for them. Now they do an opener as part of the, a lot of teams do that, and that has part of it. But they've got 3 guys in the rotation that they can count on to go every 5 days, and these are guys that you're like, who the hell is that? And I mean, they've been prospects because they've been drafting well.
Yeah, and then I have a couple guys like Noah Schultz. I picked up in fantasy one point. That's just been a big old turd. He's 6'8", left-hander, throws 96 miles an hour. He has no idea where it's going though. Can't repeat his delivery, has no command. So yeah.
Brian, the news broke the other day. Tommy John has died, and I wanted to bring this up. So listening to the Braves broadcast last night, and CJ Nitkowski, it's like, is it time to talk about Tommy John more than just the legacy of the surgery and basically what that has in revolutionizing the game? To let's actually look at his stats. He should be in the Hall of Fame. Brandon Gaudin, who's the play-by-play guy, he said, "Well, he has good numbers, but he pitched for 26 years."
Yeah.
So I thought, well, I got to do a deep dive on this. I think he's in the Hall of Very Good, but 288 wins. He broke in with Cleveland in 1963. It's pretty good for the White Sox. He lands with the Dodgers a few years after that. Gets a couple World Series appearances with them. Then he misses the entire 1975 season because he has a dead arm, and he agrees to have this surgery, which at the time was very experimental. Dr. Job performs the Tommy John surgery, which is the ligament replacement, the retying, all that. It's been perfected in more recent times. He comes back the next year and he goes 10-10, pitches 200 innings. He has 6 complete games. He was only so that year. He comes back over the next 3 or 4 years to win 20 games. In 1977, he won 21. In 1978, 22 in 1979, and in that time had 44 complete games and 12 complete game shutouts. Brian, towards the end of his career, even he's 44 at the time. He had a winning record with the Yankees, 13-7 over 33 starts. You're like, wait a minute. And I mean, he was never a big strikeout pitcher,
Mhm.
but he was a guy that could get you out that way. But I mean, he just 8 innings, and he was good enough to throw out there every fifth day. End of story.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't think he's in the Hall of Fame, but he's in the Hall. I would say in the Hall of pretty good. I don't even say very good. I say Hall
Really?
of pretty good. Yeah, actually, look at if you look at they have that site that I played around with for hot minute, where it's the chasing 162, where I have to build a lineup using all these players from all these different
Yep.
Kentucky stuff. And it's funny because you look at some of those pitchers from not particularly his era, but back in like the 30s, 40s, even 20s. Like a starting pitcher is elite, has a great WAR, but he's like 3.2 strikeouts per 9 innings.
Yeah.
Like they just didn't strike people out back then because
Yeah.
the stuff I obviously isn't the same. So yeah, but yeah, I agree he's not in the Hall of Fame.
It's funny. I also noticed, he gets a lot more of attention for the fact that they had the surgery, obviously. And oh, by the way, he was a good dude. From what
But
everything that you read about him, he was big in the community. He was a great teammate. That's why he played as long as he did. You don't last 26 years if you're an asshole.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh,
Look at what was it, Jeff George in the NFL. Like,
yeah.
he probably had a lot longer career if he wasn't a dickhead.
Roger Clemens be in the Hall of Fame if he wasn't a jerk.
Yeah, well, that and the doping, but
Well, there's that. But
allegedly.
speaking of guys that are pretty damn good, you got the Pirates going to skip Paul Skeen's start this week. He has struggled; his velocity is down, and they're just saying it's fatigue.
Mm,
But when you got a guy that brings it at 100, he throws max effort. He's a guy that you expect to go out there, and for the last couple of seasons with the dreadful teams the Pirates have had, he's been the only thing they had going. Now you have to, we got to watch. They desperately don't want to have him go under the knife. But Brian, this team has a lot of talent. They beat the Red Sox 2-3 this past weekend, as we mentioned, but there's still holes in their rotation. If you take him out, they're dead in the water. But
yeah,
you look at that offense, man, they don't play good defense. That's for sure. But you look at that offense, you know, 16 and a half games back of the Brewers, 6.5 games back in the wild card. They have the second best offense of all of Major League Baseball. You got a couple guys on that team that are raking this year, and they're not even at full strength. O'Neill Cruz has missed a bunch of time.
mm.
Does this just go back to the fact that they're owned by a dung heap of an owner?
Yeah. I mean, as it usually is in most scenarios of baseball. I mean, they've shown that if you're a good franchise, like say the Houston Astros, and you are bad for any sort of extended period of time, like the Astros were for 3 or 4 years in a row, the owner said, "Hey, we're like base came out and said, yeah, we're tanking. We're bad. We're not going to win the division this year, so I'm not going to go out and try and win. Like I'm gonna tank so we get good draft picks."
And they drafted well.
They drafted well. And then you've got teams that like the Orioles did kind of okay with a couple of draft picks earlier. Their draft picks were very good, like the mid 2010s. And then the Pirates, they drafted well with the draft picks, but then as soon as they're within 2 years of free agency, they're like, okay, bye, because we're not going to pay you.
Yeah.
And they shipped out. Who was the pitcher? They shipped out. Um, I can't think of his name now, but he's with the Yankees now. But he came up with them. But
Oh, a bunch of guys in that
yeah, yeah,
regard.
yeah. But they have they ship all those guys out before they really get the full benefit
Oh yeah.
of that draft pick capital that they've accumulated by being crappy. So
Well, they went out and they were aggressive at the deadline to get what they could without giving up a lot of their talent from the minor leagues. They're really stingy about wanting to give guys up too. They've been burned by that. They got burned by trading. They traded for Chris Archer at one
mm,
point in time. They send Meadows to the Rays. That's a year that he led the league in hitting and triples and everything else. They're like, well, damn, why didn't he do it here? But you never know. I don't know. They sit at 61 and 65. We'll see what happens. The only good part about this, Brian, is when we go see them in a couple weeks, we might have a better idea of getting better seats if they keep playing poorly.
well, we can only hope. We'll see.
Reds are in last place, Brian, 59 and 64. This was supposed to be the year that they took their big step back towards something with Terry Francona. They've got a lot of young talent too. The offense has been woeful this year. South Stewart is the only exception there. He's leading the league, the NL anyway, with 91 RBIs. But Matt McClain, Eugenio Suarez, both hitting under 200. Then they have Chase Burns, who is this will be his first full rookie season. He's 14-2, 131 strikeouts over like 100 innings, something like that. The rest of that pitching staff is just a pile of garbage.
Yeah.
And there they are, just kind of sitting there.
Where else are you going to go?
Ain't that so? I mean, but that's what it comes down to. It's an ownership issue,
Mm-hmm.
which
And,
transitions.
I'll say this in the Reds ownership kind of defense, I guess, if you will. Um, the they have, I think, the highest payroll in the division, which
They
I mean
do.
that's not saying a whole lot in that
Yeah.
division, but still, it's like they're not spending money a little bit, but obviously they're. Speaking of what's coming up next, obviously their front office
Yeah.
is not as good as some other front
They
offices.
have missed time and time in the
Mm,
draft. Like Hunter Green is now the next never was for the Cincinnati Reds because he's gonna, he should have had surgery again last year. And now you've got this Chase Burns kid, and you better put him in bubble wrap because he's really the only thing you got going. And like I said, nothing else has really worked out. They've had the same thing. They've had to ship a couple guys off, be like, well, see what we can get for him. But they did nothing at the deadline, and
mm.
the team has responded in kind. And it's such a downer because the town is screaming for them to be good. They're like, please, Reds, be good, please. But where else are you going to go? And that just goes into our transition to the NFL, Brian. And as a Bengals lifer, I have the same pessimistic feeling and worry for this season with my beloved Bengals. And it's something that's deeply rooted in the 45 years of watching this team. I fear this season could be as big or bigger a disappointment than the Reds. And I'm hearing like legit talk of people saying the Bengals are prepared for a Super Bowl run and it's Super Bowl or bust, or we are back. We are going, you never know what can happen in the AFC. And especially if you get a couple home, playoff games and all this. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. We have to remember a few key components here. The Bengals are still owned by the Brown family. They're the worst ownership group in the NFL, or arguably bottom three at the at that. They still have the worst head coach in the league. Again, maybe bottom three, but he's pretty awful.
Mm-hmm.
And despite a few flashy signings and the big trade for Sexy Dexy, that defense was historically bad for the franchise last year. They didn't draft or sign any help for the linebacking crew. The secondary was pretty bad. And oh, by the way, they still don't have a legit running game. Chase Burns is a third down back. They don't have a bell cow. And then you watch the preseason game against your Lions.
Yeah. Yeah, they had the entire starting Bengals offensive line. They played their starters. Detroit played none of their starters, so including the defensive line. So obviously no Hutchinson. So they had the entire backup defensive line against the Bengals. Starting offensive line didn't go very well. Burrow was sacked on a second pass attempt. He was pressured on 28.6% of his dropbacks. If you look at 2 years ago, and he set the NFL record by being sacked 40 times, he was under pressure 32.4% of the time. So this is almost as much pressure against second string players for Detroit. That, I mean, Hutchinson's arguably a top 5 defensive end in the league. and you don't have that, and you still got that much pressure, that's the problem.
He took a 5-step drop on that second snap, and he's getting ready to look at first option didn't look like it was there, so he's looking down and he didn't have time to look for it,
Yeah.
and that's historically what's happened. And that offensive line, they've signed a couple guys, they brought a couple guys in, but it's still a C- line. So I have this fear that schedule on the front end does them no favors. And it could be a repeat. And Zach Taylor's terrible in the early part of the season. If they're buried again at 2-5, the fan base is going to jump ship. And, they're closer, I think, to going 6-11 again and having to strip it down, you gotta fire Zach Taylor at that point, right?
Well,
You got to.
at that point, his contract's up, so I have to pay any money. Which, hey,
Right.
Bengals love that. They love not paying money.
They don't do that. And then you're going to start over, and it just seems like we're closer to that than the Super Bowl by any stretch of the imagination.
I hate to do this to you because I know you might shut everything off and you run out the front door. But they could hire Art Smith as their head coach then. He'll be right up the road in Columbus. He could redeem himself as a head coaching candidate in Columbus.
Brian, we're going to talk about college football and the Ohio State Buckeyes here in a minute, and I haven't even made it to my notes about how much Arthur Smith is a mook, and that he's actually, I think he's good enough for a loss for the Buckeyes. That alone should mean he shouldn't be hired by anybody. But you're right. I don't know, man. It's just tough being a Bungles fan, and like I said, I couldn't give my tickets away. I actually gave them away, but I couldn't sell them, and so I'm going up to Detroit this week, and the Lions are home Saturday.
Oh, okay.
I was like, I could sneak in. I'm looking for a single. I'll go up see the Lions. It's a noon game on Saturday. Mm-hmm. It's like $78. I'm like, man.
Yeah, tickets aren't cheap in Detroit anymore.
It's a little different than Cincinnati, where I was like, anybody want these tickets? I mean, like anybody? And somebody was like, well, what do you want for them? I was like, no, I'm trying to give them away.
I just want someone to go.
Anyway, Brian, we also, you had this one. I did see the awful performance. I did not see the meme. So please explain.
Yeah, we have our first meme of the weekend, or I guess of the season, I should say, from this weekend. Michael Penix Jr. is kind of standing off to the right of Tua and kind of behind him.
It's for the Atlanta Falcons.
For the Falcons, yeah. So Tua had just come off one of his amazing drives where they didn't generate any offense. And Michael Penix literally kind of looks, I'll do it for the people at the benefit of it. He goes like that. And he kind of looks at points and like gives his eye thing like, what? This is the guy you brought in to compete with me? Tua for the day, 3 of 5, 22 yards, 0 attempts, going more than 5 yards in the air. His average pass went negative 0.2 yards behind the line of scrimmage. That's the lowest of any quarterback this weekend. Yeah. I mean, we knew that he was sexually broken.
Yeah.
But, I mean, to be sexually broken to a point where you don't even try and throw the ball beyond the line of scrimmage is pretty bad.
At this point, I think he's just cashing checks, man. And this is another franchise that punishes their fan base with ignorance. Why do you bring him in? So, look, you run off Kirk Cousins because Michael Penix is your guy. Then you get Michael Penix hurt because you have a terrible head coach and you have a bad offensive line. And you don't really do anything to fix those things. So you bring in Tua, who has a history of injury problems, to mentor, perhaps push Michael Penix, who hasn't really been able to play. What are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you want to bring in somebody to compete with Penix or mentor or whatever, okay, you kind of had that in Kirk Cousins. But to bring in somebody as injury prone as Tua, who's one hit away from from drooling when the phone rings, I don't get it. Yeah. It makes no sense to bring in that quarterback on that team.
What's worse is there's a video of him at Flowery Branch, which is their headquarters, and he's out there dancing and doing YouTube videos while drills are going on, and he's throwing trick throws. And I'm thinking, this is a guy who doesn't see all the phantoms and shadows over the middle. Maybe he should spend more time looking at, I don't know, the playbook, video,
right?
Doing something else. Not
studying film.
Yeah, I don't know. Not making TikTok videos. Brian, they've shortened the preseason to 3 games, which I think is still too long. And I shouldn't have to buy those damn tickets, that's for sure. But I sent you a thing that I'm trying to think where I found that. I think that was from WLW. The big one up in Cincinnati, I think they had it posted. But back in the 70s, NFL teams played as many as 6 or 7 preseason games, which
they started playing like the end of July.
is well, and they also didn't play till the middle of September.
Yeah.
And that's a meat grinder. But I mean, I told you, I was like, that's what I guess what you get when you have 12 rounds of NFL draft. There's less teams. And oh, by the way, you know, it's amazing to me that the season was only 14 games.
Yeah.
Less teams made the playoffs because back then it was just five, right? Yeah,
Might have even just been
it was
four.
just
They
four.
might have just been the wild card.
But you had 6 preseason games. I mean, what the hell is the point of that?
Well, it's like you said too. These guys weren't in shape
True.
24/7, 365. Kenny Anderson selling air conditioning units in the offseason trying to make ends meet. So, that's what you get.
The Vikings are going to go with the little person Kyler Murray over weak arm JJ McCarthy. Brian, this isn't a shock.
No, and there's Adam Schefter, of course, is quick to defend JJ McCarthy any chance he gets because he is, after all, a Michigan man. He came out and said, well, JJ McCarthy is, only 1 year removed. He didn't really get a chance to play last year because he was hurt. And then he was hurt the year before. And he hasn't been getting a chance to prove himself. And he deserves a fresh start somewhere else, similar to the guy that saw Ghost that was good, Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
These are guys that have reclaimed themselves in the NFL. And I'm like, yeah, but those guys didn't cheat in college. And it's amazing. Someone brought this up. You look at that team that won the title,
Yeah.
the tainted title, the Asterisks. Not one of those players has been good in the NFL. Not a one. Not a single man on the entire 100-man roster at that school has been good in the NFL.
Yeah.
Could it be because when they were in college, they knew what was coming in the plays and they were able to play to that? Whereas now when you're in the NFL and you don't have this cheating, all of a sudden now you have to rely on your actual ability and your intelligence. Now all of a sudden you're not that good.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's funny how it works.
Very amazing. I did hear this though. There was a fun stat out there that the quarterback with the I'm sorry, not quarterback. Yes, it was quarterback. So it was a round table and they were looking at different weird stats. And this is not on the script, right? I'm sorry, I'm going off script.
Sorry, I'm gonna go off script.
Which NFL quarterback has more career rushing yards than Bo Jackson? They remember Bo Jackson, very good, but hurt.
Yeah, maybe Lamar Jackson.
Nope.
I'm trying to think. Someone's been in the league for a while. It's ran a lot.
Do you want me to skip ahead for you?
Yeah, go.
It's Jim Harbaugh.
Oh wow,
Jim Harbaugh.
I was thinking.
He's been running crooked for a long time. That's the joke. That's a long time. Also, Brian, I just got a text that we have been given a cease and desist order from using the number 5 in our podcast any further from Jaden Daniels.
Yikes! Actually, it's Jaden Daniels' mom.
Yeah.
Apparently, if you didn't hear this kerfuffle, he threatened to sue and sent a cease and desist letter to LSU saying they couldn't reissue his number 5 because they verbally told him they were going to retire it.
Right.
They also verbally told this other player on the team. No, they told the guy they gave it to.
Yeah.
They verbally told him, "Oh yeah, you can have number 5. That's no problem." So LSU, verbally told 2 different people 2 different things, and this just going to show. Florio had an article up about this. It probably wasn't Jaden Daniels that actually.
Oh, I mean, it's his mama. Yeah, she's crazy.
But this goes to show maybe hire an agent.
Yeah.
Because they don't have stuff like this. You look at him, you look at Lamar Jackson's missed a lot of endorsement money by not having an agent. The kid in Chicago, the quarterback in Chicago, Caleb Williams, he doesn't have his mom uses an agent. Like, stop using your parents as agents.
So this
is like bad child actors back in the 80s, right? When their parents just stole blind from them. And then they come
Gary Coleman?
Yeah, they come out afterwards and go, "Oh my God, my parents stole our money." Well, no shit. You let them steal your money and you didn't say, "Hey, let me see my bank statements."
I will say that it is silly that this is coming out now, and it probably, obviously, because we're getting into kids are getting their numbers and everything else. There's fall camps opening, and he's like, I'm just focusing on the season. Well, that's all great, but the cat's out of the bag, buddy. I will say this: Joe Burrow. They asked him about it, and Joe Burrow's like, "Well, they told me they weren't going to use number 9 either," and so far they haven't. But I would argue Joe Burrow helped putting LSU back in. I mean, the football stratosphere at all in 2 seasons versus, Daniels was there for a year.
Yeah.
He was pretty damn good, but they didn't win a title.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's our transition into college football, Brian. Of course, that's what we're known for here. And, once upon a time, we would sit down in July and go through and we would read everything that we thought we could imply you with knowledge about the Sun Belt Conference and Conference USA. and the MAC, which is my beloved MAC. But this has become tedious. It's become that much more difficult with the transfer world. I would argue that we don't have all the information, and that's why I don't think there should be a top 25 poll, which we're going to talk about, until about 4 weeks into the season, especially with all the changes. You don't know.
Well, and especially if you look at the top 25 poll, there's not a single group of 5 team in that top 25
Nope.
poll. And that I think is due to what you're talking about. That you talk about the transfer, NIL, that has gutted those conferences.
Yep.
Because if you've got a player like Drew Mastermaker, let's say, who's really good, he's going somewhere else next year. He's not graduating from
Mastermaker
the Sun Belt school.
led the country in passing. I'm a new believer. Was in the top whatever at North Texas. He's landed at Oklahoma State. And you're right. It's basically a 3-tiered system.
Mm-hmm.
And we love Group of 5. I love it anyway. I love all the mid majors out there, but it's anybody's guess. And there are guys going up and there's guys going down. I forgot about the fact that Bowling Green got the kid who was a top tier 4-star recruit at quarterback. He's landed in Bowling Green.
Yeah.
Everybody forgot about him.
Well, and that's I think it was Tulane got the former 5-star. Was it Jackson Arnold?
Yep.
That was at Oklahoma,
Yep.
And then somewhere else last year that hasn't been great. He's a 5-star recruit. So I'm just gonna throw out some random, quick little Brett McMurphy notes.
This was from the top 25.
Yeah. Top 25 notes where the AP
coaches poll came out last week. AP comes out this way. AP. Look, I got some problems with both. I got some problems with you people. There are some problems I have. The coaches poll, those coaches don't vote and they don't know. Their sports information director or an intern is voting it. The AP is supposed to be a more respectful poll until you look at some of the morons who have voted in it the last couple of years. That it's like they don't watch anybody but about 4 teams.
Yeah, like last year the Dizzy Broad that I never saw a team was like, oh wait, Alabama has a football team? No way.
But then they let these idiots vote. So we have to take these with a grain of salt. But we got to talk about them at the same time.
Yeah, there's some interesting factoids. So Clemson unranked for the first time since 2011, which is Dabo Swinney's 3rd year. Let me scroll through some other interesting ones. Last year, out of the top 25 teams at the start of the year, 12 ended up unranked at the end of the year.
That's amazing to me. That part right there is amazing to me. That's half your field. And by the way, there's a bunch of teams in there. I'm sure that they're like, well, these are playoff teams. Let's talk about. I mean,
it was 3 of the top 10.
Yeah,
Penn State started out number 2.
Yep,
they ended up unranked.
Yep,
so, yeah. USC ranked number 14. Not good news for Trojans. 4 of the last 6 seasons they've been ranked. They finished unranked. For the first time in 18 years, Bama is ranked outside the top 10. Last time that was 2008 when they started number 24. And then 19 last 22 years, every national champion has been in the top 7. So this year, that means you're looking at Ohio State, Oregon, Georgia, Notre Dame, Texas, Indiana, and Miami. So pick your champion on those teams.
So we've talked a lot about the fact that the Power 4 could kind of split themselves off and they could kind of go their own way and do their own thing. When I looked at the top 25, when I've done the kind of the research from the Phil Steele's and the other publications out there, Brian, all of a sudden I'm like, I don't want to see that. But when you try to build a top 25, well, guess who's in it?
Yeah, all the old usual suspects.
Yeah.
As they say.
So what I did is I kind of made a little bit of a grid about each conference, and we can discuss it real quick. So my thought process was this: all right, in the SEC, we talked about this last week. Are there that many legit contenders? Yes, there are. I have to admit it. You got Georgia, Texas, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Bama, and LSU. And I'll throw you a wild card, Tennessee. They're out there in the weeds. Nobody's talking about them. They don't have too tough a schedule. They really don't. But what I told you when we first got here, how do you pick? You're going to wind up with probably 5 or 6 of those teams in the playoff. Well, you got to basically pick the team that has the easier schedule versus a couple teams that got a couple meat grinders where they go 3 or 4 weeks in a row. Like Georgia really doesn't have a stretch where you've got multiple, I know every game in the SEC, it just means
it just
more.
matters, bro.
They don't have a couple games where they go, Alabama, Texas, Oklahoma. They don't do that 3 weeks in a row. A couple teams do. And that's where I am going to fade Texas. Now, Texas could beat Ohio State. They'll be the number 1 team. They'll be, right there. do you really trust Sark not to drop a game? And
No.
he's going to lose a game. And they've got a couple tough road tests. Oklahoma has a stretch late in the year. They're either going to make the grade or eliminate themselves with a couple losses. That also goes for Ole Miss, Texas A&M. Bama is the outlier. As much as I don't want to rank them there, they're like Georgia. They don't have a stretch where you go, oof, if they can make it through that.
Yeah.
They don't have that. And then LSU, man, I'm telling you, I don't believe in them because I don't believe in that defense.
Mm.
And then, like I said, Tennessee's kind of the outlier. When you go to the Big Ten, you want to talk about the SEC on your end?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I did a little bit different. I did teams
Okay.
that have a legit shot at winning the title and then playoff teams.
Okay.
So I've got Georgia, Texas A&M, LSU, legit shot at winning the title. I think Ole Miss, Oklahoma, Bama have a shot at the playoffs. Ole Miss, I think, is the weakest of those teams just because we don't know we've gotten the head coach. Obviously, they lost a lot of players that followed Kiffin to LSU, but that's how I've got ranked. So I've got basically 7 teams that are playoff worthy, if you will, in the SEC. I don't think it's 7 going to make it, obviously, but that's 7 that could.
I think we're all talking about the same teams
Yeah.
too. I mean,
Yeah.
we really are. The Big Ten, I kind of did the same thing. So Ohio State's preseason number 1. I think they're being set up to fail. They have a really tough stretch. They have 3 games in 4 weeks that feature USC, Oregon, Indiana. If you're coming out on the other end of that, and oh, by the way, you can beat your rival and be 10-2, that's still a pretty damn good season.
Yeah,
And,
and you will have beaten Texas in that scenario too.
In that scenario,
Yeah.
or if you lose to Texas and you're 9-3, you're on the bubble.
Yeah,
and that's why I'm fading Ohio State, my beloved Buckeyes. Oregon does not have to play another tough team other than Ohio State. They have a tricky road game at Oklahoma State, but they don't have to play Indiana. They get Michigan. I think they can beat Michigan. You've got Indiana, who also does not have a tough game other than Ohio State.
Yeah.
And all right, let's say you beat Ohio State. Probably going to have to play them again in the Big Ten championship game. I don't know that they could beat them twice. The Buckeyes got to go to Bloomington. That's tough. They don't have a hard road though. Michigan's got the tougher task. We're not impressed with anything. Underwood really didn't do. He's not this great quarterback. I think he's a good quarterback. They've got a tough road.
No,
they got to play
Oklahoma week 2 at Oklahoma.
They got to play Indiana. They got to play Ohio State. Oh, by the way, like I said, new coaching staff. You don't know what they're getting, and they obviously are trying to sell. Oh, it's just other teams. These rivals aren't that much of a big. That is a recipe for losing.
Yeah, that's a recipe for John Cooper years. I have 3 teams in the Big Ten. We talked about this last week. Legit shall win title: Ohio State, Indiana, Oregon. I think the Wolverines, the USC have a shot at the playoffs. Yeah. I think that's about it in the Big Ten. As everybody has said before, the Big Ten is very top heavy. The SEC is deeper overall. Does that mean it's better? It's up to your interpretation. I will say the Big Ten is more top heavy though than the SEC, but they're not as top heavy as the Big 12 or ACC.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in just a final thought on the Big Ten is all right. Let's talk about USC and Washington, both ranked in the different polls. The problem is Lincoln Riley hasn't proven anything out of USC, and this is kind of
his record's getting worse every year,
and it's a make or break season.
Yeah.
So I want to put them there. They have talent, and oh, by the way, Ohio State has to go there. That's a tough road game. I don't care what you say. And then you have Washington. Well, damn it, they should have been better, but they've not proven they can get over that. That the quarterback out there, Damon Williams, is all world, and Washington might sneak up on you. And then I think you've got an outlier in Illinois. If they get anything out of the quarterback spot, they did get the kid from East Carolina. They're Bielema. Give credit where credit's due. Bielema builds a tough. They're a gutty team. Do they have the talent? But if you're sitting there at 10-2, and your only big loss is to maybe it's Indiana, Illinois, 10 wins, take us. They shat the bed down the stretch, and they put themselves out. So again, you're right, top heavy. ACC super top heavy. I think it's without question. Miami has the most talent, but I just have this feeling that Miami is capable of going back to doing the things the Canes always did over the last couple decades. Why'd you lose that game?
Yeah.
How'd you lose that game? Now, Mensa, an incredible quarterback. I'm seeing people he's going to win the Heisman. Slow your roll. He's good. He makes mistakes. If you make mistakes, you turn the ball over, you're going to lose games.
Yeah, but I will say he's got a lot more talent, obviously, at Miami than he did at Duke. They've got real good receiving core. They've already got a running back that already got trouble though. I don't know what he did, so maybe reckless op or something
Tony
stupid.
is yes, those
Yeah.
two guys right there. I mean, they are the cream of the crop.
But they lost a lot on defense.
Yeah,
They lost
they really
their
did.
top 2 defensive linemen were both top 10 picks in the NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
SMU, Louisville, Virginia Tech are intriguing to me. Louisville's got talent. They've done a good job of putting together the program there. But again, it all comes down to, can you win those weird road games where the ACC cannot be won, it can only be lost. And it's that game. Let's say you're going into, you got to face Clemson, and Clemson ain't that good, but you lose to Clemson because you always lose to Clemson, that kind of thing. I think the same thing could be said about SMU. Has been charmed. Jennings is back for his 3rd season, but they've got a tougher road to hoe, and they're not going to sneak up on anybody.
Yeah, I think in this conference, Miami's the only legit title contender. I think SMU is the only team that has a chance to playoffs besides them, and it'll be a one-bid league again.
What do you think about Virginia Tech and Georgia Tech? They're both intriguing to me. Georgia Tech has Mendoza's brother, and look, that was a fun team. They're talented. Again, that's a team that's put together kind of like Illinois, plucky. They're not going to get the number one, 5-star guys, but they got a team that can compete. Their schedule's not that tough, and let's say you knock off Georgia.
Yeah. No, listen. I remember I had a ticket last year on them to win the ACC, and I cashed that ticket out.
I lost my money.
They either lost to Syracuse or went to double overtime against Syracuse. Like, I've seen enough to know this team is not going to win the ACC. It's the same thing. They're.
What do you think of Penn State South?
Flawed.
What do you think about Penn State South with James Franklin basically taking all the talent of Blacksburg?
Yeah. Well, we saw that talent at Penn State. So, I mean, obviously ACC is not the Big Ten, but still, that's They are a flawed team.
Brian, I actually have a little bit of a bracket put together, but here's my fly in the ointment. The team I think that's going to go undefeated is Notre Dame.
Yeah, I can see that. And the only tough game is against Miami.
And they've got a 12-0 slate, and you're going to get in there. Even if they're 11-1, you're going to get in because your loss would be to Miami, as you mentioned that. And the Big 12, you got Texas Tech and BYU. Both have talent returning. The question mark for Texas Tech is your quarterback spot. The question for BYU is depth, because
and again, that 12-play soft Sherman schedule.
Yeah,
I mean they got penalized for it last year.
Yep.
For going 11-1 the regular season, then lost the conference title game by 28 points. They put an SEC team that lost the conference title game by 28 points.
Yeah,
because
it's a one-bid league.
Yeah, it is. It's a one-bid league, and I agree. I think Texas Tech, BYU are the only 2 teams that have a shot of winning that league. I will say something. A fun team to watch. Watch Oklahoma State this year.
Yeah,
they're gonna be fun watching. They'll be a lot better. They only won game last year. They're probably going to be bowl eligible this year,
I think bowl eligible. I wouldn't put them as a team that scares anybody other than the fact that, look, that Mestemaker is a ridiculously good quarterback. I think there's going to be comparisons to some of these other guys. You're like, where did he come from? Jeremiah Love came from Utah State. You're like, ooh, where did that guy come from? Oklahoma State's kind of slipped down to that depths now. Mestemaker has that makeup. He's got pure passer elements to him that I think could be like, wow, where'd he come from?
Yeah, I think their offense could be really legit.
Yeah.
If you looked at North, because they brought a lot of the offense guys from North Texas, not just him, but their defense last year, North Texas, was woeful. It's not going to be a better Oklahoma State. So bet the over in those games. Bet Oklahoma State score a bunch of points, bet them to give up a bunch of points, because those games are going to be, I think, in the hundreds of points several times this year.
Noah Fafita at Arizona is intriguing to me. TCU is a well-coached ball club, and of course, Kansas State, they do more with less. I think they're outliers too. Playoffs, no, but I think those are teams you're going to say, oh yeah, okay, those could be top 25 teams. AAC, Tulane, and Navy both have intriguing, good teams back this year, but the AAC, you're going to have to run the table.
Yeah, and I think I agree with you. Navy, Tulane are the only 2 teams in that conference, and I think there's only one other team, period, in the group of 5 that I think has a legit chance of making the playoffs.
Who is that?
That would be UNLV.
You think?
And again, they're after on the table, so it's all dependent on people on the table. I think out of those 3, I think Navy has the best chance.
Yeah,
which would be interesting because of how the Navy Army game.
Oh, geez.
When that's played. Now, what are you going to do with the AAC title game?
Yeah.
It's going to be a mess if it happens. But it'll certainly be fun to see, especially if they beat Notre Dame.
Yes,
That'd be really fun to
for
see.
sure. I mean, but you got to. I mean, like I said, at 11-1, you might be ranked. You might be the best ranked team of the group of five. You might get in. I think that's where Tulane might come in. New Mexico and UNLV, I think, are the two teams that are good in the Mountain West. But the Mountain West got absolutely torn apart by the Pac-12 reimmersion, and New Mexico was a good story last year. They went bowling. The program's been rebuilt there. But if you look at Phil Steele, if you get the magazine, if you don't, I can tell
Well,
you.
and get the real one.
Go get the real one, right? Don't get the wrong one. So he puts together he has his own cipher in ranking numbers. So you have these teams from the SEC and the Big Ten. Their number ranges about 130 to 144, something like that. And then you go down a little bit for the next level team. You go down, and then some of these conferences, the teams max out, including MAC, at 114.
Yeah.
That's a big difference. Whereas, the SEC is 143, 141, 139, it's a big step down.
Yeah, what they're saying is basically the best team in the MAC is probably the second worst team in the SEC.
In some regard, yeah. You can, and especially now that we've gotten even worse down the NIL rabbit hole. Also out there, James Madison from the Sun Belt is still the king out there. Conference USA, like Kennesaw State. The MAC, look, man, I know I pump the MAC every year. Western Michigan has got a pretty good quarterback, and Lowry is his last name. The Broncos don't have the worst schedule out there. I think they could be ranked in the top 25. They're not going to make the playoffs, but I think they could be ranked in the top 25. Boise State's the best team from the Pac-12 of the teams out there. If you don't know who's in the Pac-12 now, you got Washington State, Oregon State, Fresno State, Boise State,
San Diego State.
I mean,
I'm trying to think about states.
Colorado State,
San Jose State, maybe?
Colorado State. Yeah, I mean, so it's you got to look it up. There's a new roadmap. You got to check out.
This is not your daddy's Pac-12 for sure.
So here we go. This is my guess, Brian, on the playoff bracket. This is with just minimal kind of tearing this apart, and of course, way too early. I think Georgia, Notre Dame, Indiana, and Miami get the byes. I think you're 1 through 4. I think Texas would be the next team, and they would get the group of 5, which I think is going to be Tulane. You've got Oregon at number 6, Texas A&M at number 11. I think you got Alabama at number 7. Texas Tech would be your Big 12 team at number 10. Ohio State would come out of the 8th spot, and they would play Oklahoma. That's kind of my thought process. The first 2 teams out, Michigan and Ole Miss.
I did not do
a
cool bracket like that.
That's kind of my guess.
Yeah, I'm just going to guess the playoff teams.
Guess your playoff teams in.
I think the Big Ten gets 4. I think Ohio State, Oregon, Indiana, and USC. The SEC, I think you're probably going to end up with that would leave them 5 if I'm doing
5. Yeah. Well, no. 4.
Well, no, because Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So actually, you know what? I'm saying that back. Big Ten's got 3. Let's scratch USC.
Right.
The SEC then has 4. So they got Georgia, Texas, A&M, LSU. Big 12 gets 1, probably Texas Tech. ACC gets 1, probably Miami, Notre Dame, and then you got the group of 5 team.
You really like LSU? You really think the Lane Kiffin magic is going to Baton Rouge?
Listen, I mean, when he was the head coach at USC, when he was the head coach at Tennessee. Yeah, I think for some reason, no, I think that he should have enough talent there, and he hasn't pissed them off enough yet. That I think that they're going to make it. And then I think the group of 5 team, it's probably going to be too late. I think because it would be too weird if it was Navy and they try and figure out how to make this all work, and they don't want to do that. So they're going to figure out some way to screw them.
Plus, did you see Tulane has some cool Mardi Gras uniforms?
I did.
So sure. Tulane's been really cool with their uniforms. Anyway, the last couple of years, they got a lovely collection of pale blue and green, and they have the logo, the early Kyler logo of the fighting squid, and the Green Wave logo now has a Mardi Gras hat on with the bells, and they've added some gold and some purple. And the green is kind of Mardi Gras lime green. It's sharp. I like it a lot. What do you think about the Buckeyes going with? They're going to have a scarlet out and a black out.
I mean, there's worse. Like those Nebraska
Oof.
All black uniforms.
Did you see Wisconsin also was going with scarlet and gray?
No.
Yes.
No.
They have one of their.
Shout out from our boy up there.
Yeah, Fickle. trying to make Madison miserable. Last thing, Brian, you had let's talk some Heisman vote. It's going to be handled by EA Sports and this Heisman hopefuls website this year. They're actually going to let fans vote.
That's a terrible idea.
It's a bad idea.
Hey, listen, I'm a fan and I'm a dipshit. There's no reason you should have fans voting on that. They shouldn't have fans voting the MLB All-Star game. This should be picked by people that actually watch beyond their team.
Yeah.
Because now you're going to have a bunch of Alabama fans. Bubba from Montgomery is going to be, voting for all the Alabama players.
You've never been to Montgomery in your life.
No, I haven't. I don't want to.
Big shout out this week, Zimco Entertainment.
We got to do our coaches on the hot seat.
I didn't even get to that.
No.
Oh, I must have pushed. All right, get your coaches on the hot seat, Brian. I apologize.
Well, going back to Heisman real quick, I like Dante more, 10-1.
Yeah.
And it's a good number on him. I think he's going to put up some big numbers for Oregon. I think that Oregon's going to obviously make playoffs, has a shot, one of the Big Ten. Darian Mentz at 11-1 is intriguing. Jeremiah Smith, 12-1. Seems like a stretch unless he's even more otherworldly than he has been so far, which he's been amazing so far, but he's become an overlooked. He was a finalist last year, but gave serious love. Goes on the hot seat, Dave Aranda. Defense gave 33 points per game last year. Most people thought he should have been fired after last year.
I think both of us thought he would have been.
Yeah. Bill Belichick, obviously.
I think he won't be fired. He'll mutually part ways.
Well, he's got to follow his cheerleader girlfriend around. So. His GM just got suspended and definitely do an HR violation.
Yeah.
His first year's disaster. His recruiting class wasn't good. Last time they failed to make a bowl game back-to-back years. Last year was the Larry Fedora era.
Oh, wow.
2019, that was the last time they failed a bowl game back-to-back years. 3 more real quick. Luke Fickell.
Yeah.
They open against Notre Dame. The schedule eased up after week 4, so if he can get through those first 4 weeks, he might be able to save his job. Mike Locksley, back-to-back 4-8 seasons. That's supposed to trouble for him. And then Mike Norvell, as we talked about this, he got the vote of confidence last year at the end of the year for some reason. I don't know how. This year he has SMU and Bama September, at Louisville, at Miami, Clemson in October. He needs to win 3 of those 5 plus the games he should win to be safe.
Even if he goes, if they go 7-5, go to the bowl game, I still think they're going to go. You know what? This is not working because Florida State's myopic in their thought process. Well, you don't hire him to be your coach if you thought that was going to be the case, that you're going to go instantly to competing for national championships. You're not FSU of the past. That's for sure. I will agree with you. There's a handful of these guys. Loxley's just Maryland doesn't want to have to pay anybody else to come in there, and they're going to owe him money. I would argue that Lincoln Riley is certainly high on the list. If USC comes out and lays some kind of egg, and they're about 4-4 mid-season, bye.
Yeah, I could see. It's, like I said, he's gotten worse every year. His first year he was 11-2. Last year he was 7-6 or 8-5 or something. So yeah.
Brian, I got another one for you, and I think it's because all of a sudden it's worn real thin. What about Deion at Colorado?
I was looking at coaches on the hot seat, if you will, and he came up, and his glory days are behind him now.
It's amazing that flamed out in a hurry.
Yeah.
And by the way, they were like, "Well, your team's not really doing a whole lot of practice." He goes, "Yeah, I got this."
Yeah.
Okay, you won what, 4 games last year?
Yeah, and like I said, the Big 12 fortune for him is not very good, but that also means it's not very good. And if you don't win 8-9 games, you're gonna be in trouble.
Yeah. Got anything else? I wanted to go through some stuff with trivia. We got Zimco Entertainment trivia.
Yeah, do your plug. Sorry.
Well, I know that's fine. We got some places to mention. We got Fort Myers Brewing and the Celtic Gray both have championships this year. Brian, get this: Fort Myers Brewing, the champion from each of the big teams and the little teams. They're going to play Family Feud, the winner of which will get the chance to decide a beer type of their choice and then name it.
Oh,
isn't that cool?
Yeah, it's like Kent State is doing a competition
Akron.
Akron, yeah. Random season ticket where you just script the first offense series. And did you see that whoever they're playing the first week with Baldwin Walsh, somebody? They've had a bunch of their buy season tickets so they can sabotage the first drive.
We're going to run a quarterback kneel down and another quarterback kneel down. And, hey, Brian, let's punt on 3rd down. A couple people said, but did you get your season tickets? I was like, no. But at the same time, I was looking at buying Bowling Green season tickets because you could get them for $49 back in the spring. But I digress. Yeah. It should be a lot of fun with these the trivia contests.
And that's cool. You get to name the beer.
Yeah, we got a Top Golf runner-up prize, which I think is pretty good. And then we also have a VIP package for Oktoberfest where you can skip the beer line and
Oh,
you
all right.
have guaranteed seating. That's pretty friggin' cool.
Is that because we're gonna go up and get the beer for them?
There could be that.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that, but I might send you. But yeah, it's so some fun stuff. Also, number 3 craft beer. I was talking to John. I was like, hey, I want to plug you guys on there. You guys should sponsor the podcast because we usually record there on Thursdays.
Yeah.
We kind of had a monkey whatever schedule lately. I've been kind of
Well,
busy.
once college football starts, we're gonna have to do it on Thursdays because
Yep.
the Lions won't be out on Mondays. I can't do my research, so we
Yeah.
have to do it on Thursdays. So
We're taking advantage of these Mondays. This is kind of the calm before the storm for sure. I'm going to be on the road next week, and then we're both on the road. We'll be doing a podcast from Pittsburgh.
hopefully I won't throw up on the show. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I reached out to John Lucas up there while I was in Tampa this past week and said, hey, Yin's coming down to see the Pitt game. I said, if Mom and him's all good, hopefully we get to meet you. And he just liked it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that means
He didn't slide in your DM. So, it's not good.
we'll see. Hey, look, that's a wrap on this one. Hopefully, all our listeners are back.
Hopefully our sound works. I mean,
Yeah.
my little green light's still on.
My little green light's still on. I get
So.
it's a little button. Sheena Reagan told me to get these, so
If
she's
it doesn't work, it's all her fault.
it's our fault. But that's gonna do it. I think we'll be back to see you next Thursday before the season, week 0.
Yeah, that'll be on the road, right? Yeah, because we'll be flying. We'll have flown to Pittsburgh that morning.
No,
We're talking about like 10 days from now.
Yeah, no. I don't know.
3 days. Yeah, it's 10 days. Yeah, get ready to do our podcast in 3 days.
We'll see. No. I don't know.
Yeah.
This is only the 20th. Week 0 is the 29th, so it'd be the 27th.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, I stand corrected.
Anyway, all right, ladies and gents, that's it. That's all we got. Hopefully, have a lovely week.
Have a good night, everybody, or good day, wherever you may be. I don't know.
And now I got to get up and turn the video off.
Yeah. People in the video get to see how sausage gets made. This is my sausage.